WWE superstars get injured, they leave, they retire, but they always, by God, always come back. Well, not always, but most of the time, yeah? Whether they're gone for 8 months, a year, or the better part of a full decade, they will be back and they will be booked in a match. The question always is, will that match be any good after the performer has been away for a significant amount of time? If it involves any of the following sports entertainers, you better believe it will be, bucko. Just don't call it a comeback and don't call me bucko. Because my name is Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling and these are the 10 best WWE return matches. Join us. Number 10, Rey Mysterio vs Chavo Guerrero at SummerSlam 2007. Rey Mysterio was forced to sit out the best part of a year after undergoing major knee surgery that pinned him to the sidelines between October 2006 and August 2007. When he was gearing up to return, there was only one man he was after, Chavo Guerrero. Chavito had put Rey on the shelf thanks to a brutal assault in their I Quit match and had spent the weeks leading up to their SummerSlam clash taunting his masked foe. Guerrero was a kind first opponent back for Mysterio in truth, since the two were very familiar with each other and had wrestled on countless occasions. Though he looked like human tinfoil, Rey impressed in a competitive back and forth contest that demonstrated he hadn't lost a step despite Chavo trying to amputate his knee. He hit springboards, dives and all sorts of good lucha things en route to a popular victory. It was great to have Mysterio back and this was a solid showcase for him. Credit to Chavo too, who did everything he could to make his adversary look good on his first night back. Number 9, Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon vs Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 34. The rise to main event superstardom of Daniel Bryan is one of WWE's big creative success stories of the past 20 years. And it all happened despite themselves. D-Bry got over and became a major star, even though the company would have preferred others to be in his position, but sadly, injuries curtailed his time at the top. First, he had to give up the WWE and then Intercontinental titles before announcing his retirement from in-ring action. It was a crushing blow to both the performer and his legion of fans as he was forced to sit out for close to 3 years. Though it was believed he may never step into the squared circle again, the American Dragon was miraculously able to get cleared. His first match back would be on the grandest stage, teaming with Shane McMahon against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Bryan was as popular as ever and produced the hottest of hot tags after they teased him being taken out on a stretcher before finishing off Zayn with the yes lock. Try not to smile. I double dog dare you, dickhead. Number 8, Ric Flair vs Mr McMahon at Royal Rumble 2002. The dying days of WCW were tough on Ric Flair, as one of the greatest ever was reduced to a shell of his former self, stripped of the confidence that had made the Nature Boy who he was. After wrestling Sting in the main event of the last ever Nitro, Flair sat at home until WWE came calling following the culmination of the Invasion storyline, signaling Slick Rick's return to the company after an absence of almost 8 years. Named the kayfabe co-owner of WWE, Flair immediately began feuding with Mr. McMahon, with the two colliding in a street fight at 2002's Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Obviously, this wasn't vintage Flair going 60 minutes with Steamboat or anything, but it was a hell of an attraction and a solid, entertaining return match for the legend. Flair still wasn't feeling like himself when he clashed with his boss, but he put the effort in and had a manic, bloody brawl that was above all else a hell of a lot of fun. In this one, you could truly see that the dirtiest player in the game was, game, and showed the first signs of erasing that late WCW doubt. Number 7, Steve Austin vs Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38 Night 1. He didn't make a big announcement either before or after, but it was understood that Steve Austin had wrestled his last match after he put over The Rock at WrestleMania 19. There were rumblings of planned dream matches with the likes of CM Punk and Jonathan Coachman, or only one of those was a dream match, in the decade after, but as time went on and the Texas Rattlesnake resisted giant paydays, the odds of him stepping back into the ring got slimmer and slimmer. Somehow in 2022, the stars aligned and Stone Cold was convinced to wrestle his first first match in 19 years against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38. There were a couple of concessions, of course. For one, it wasn't promoted as a match ahead of time and would only be made official on the night, and also it would be a no-holds-barred bout rather than a standard rules one. That said, Austin really didn't need to worry about tempering expectations because his performance against KO, who was living a dream by squaring off with his hero, was almost faultless and the match was excellent. The only thing that could top it would be a stunner to Mr McMahon for old time's sake. Well, maybe not actually. Number 6, Edge at Royal Rumble 2020. Edge's last match before being forced to retire due to a serious neck injury was retaining the World Heavyweight title against Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania 27. It was admittedly a pretty damn good way to go out, but it wasn't the ending that Edge wanted for his career. Though everyone assumed he would never wrestle another match due to his physical condition, the Rated R superstar shocked the world by emerging as the 21st entrant in the 2020 Royal Rumble match. The pop was euphoric and Adam Copeland was clearly emotional as he stood there soaking it all in. And then he realised that he had to get to work, snapping out of it and spearing people left, right and centre. He lasted a not too shabby 23 minutes and 43 seconds before being eliminated by Roman Reigns. As we would soon find out, this was no mere Legends cameo, but the start of a second chapter in the Hall of Famer's career. On the evidence of how he looked in the Rumble, fans knew that they were in for a hell of a ride going forward. Hell, they even may get to see the greatest wrestling match ever. Number 5, Goldberg vs Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series 2016. It's fair to say that Goldberg's first WWE run didn't exactly go as well as it could have. From losing a backstage fight with Chris Jericho to being made to wear a silly blonde wig to getting routinely outsmarted by Triple H to, well, it was all a bit crap, wasn't it? You know, save for a few bright spots here or there. Unfortunately, it ended on a dour note too, with him and Brock Lesnar getting booed out of Madison Square Garden in their collective swan song at WrestleMania 20. Over 14 years and much water under the bridge later, the man returned to face the Beast once again in a match willed into existence to promote the latest 2K video game. Given how their last meeting went and how much older Goldberg was, not to mention how inactive he had been in the interim, expectations were pretty low going in. WWE played it smart and booked Goldberg like Goldberg, having him mow down Brock with 3 moves in less than 90 seconds. It was exactly what it needed to be. Number 4, the Hardy Boyz versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus the Good Brothers versus The Bar at WrestleMania 33. Jeff Hardy left WWE in September 2009, following which his career and personal life was dogged by controversy while he mainly wrestled for TNA/Impact. Jeff's older brother Matt left WWE under a cloud a year later, and likewise had a hard time getting and keeping it together in the immediate aftermath of his exit. Thankfully, the Hardy Boyz came good, rebuilding their reputations and, thanks to the broken universe, becoming one of the most talked about acts in the industry for positive reasons once more. After becoming free agents, rumors circulated that they would be on their way back home. Having wrestled a ladder match against the Young Bucks at a Ring of Honor show the night before, Matt and Jeff showed up as surprise participants in the WWE Raw Tag Team title ladder match at WrestleMania 33. Just like old times, the Daredevil duo picked up, or should that be pulled down, the straps to bag the gold on their first night back. The match itself was a thriller, and despite them no doubt feeling sore from the previous evening, both Matt and Jeff grafted and suffered for the cause. Number 3, Brock Lesnar vs John Cena at Extreme Rules 2012. After deciding he didn't enjoy the life of a superstar pro wrestler, Brock Lesnar quit WWE, tried his hand at breaking into the NFL, worked briefly with New Japan, and then finally became the UFC heavyweight champion and biggest draw in mixed martial arts. With his cage fighting career ending following a debilitating battle with diverticulitis, WWE made a play for Brock's services, and in April of 2012, the next big thing returned to the place where he'd initially made his name. His first order of business was removing John Cena's teeth, leading to an Extreme Rules match at the namesake pay-per-view. Lesnar, who had last worked a wrestling match 5 years prior, didn't appear to have any apprehension as he took apart the face that runs the place in brutal fashion. It was a match unlike anything we had seen in a WWE ring for a long time, and while Cena certainly contributed to that, this was the Brock Lesnar show. A grueling and bloody war, the match showed that Brock was back and back for real. well. The decision to put Cena over will forever be a baffling one, but as for the bout itself, Lesnar more than produced upon his return to the squared circle from the octagon. Number 2, The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40 Night 1. Most fans must have assumed that The Rock's in-ring career had ended for all intents and purposes when he put over John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania 29. Yes, he came back 3 years later for an impromptu 6-second match with Eric Rowan and had got physical during some of his rare appearances, but despite all the rumors of a return to the ring, it looked like Dwayne Johnson had hung up the boots for good. However, after being named on WWE's board of directors in early 2024, it soon became apparent that the People's Champion would be putting those boots back on once again to kick somebody in their candy ass. That someone was supposed to be Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 40, but fan uproar caused an unplanned heel turn and resulted in a tag match where the final boss would team with the Tribal Chief instead. 11 years after his last match, in which he suffered numerous debilitating injuries, The Rock looked like he hadn't missed a beat as he played all the hits during the epic 45-minute bout and left fans wanting to see him go one-on-one with the American Nightmare or the Tribal Chief in the future. Number 1, Shawn Michaels vs Triple H at SummerSlam 2002. One of the premier performers of the 90s, Shawn Michaels paid the price for his hard-bumping style after suffering a debilitating back injury at the 98 Royal Rumble. The Heartbreak Kid gutted it out and made it to WrestleMania 14, where he dropped the world title to Steve Austin, before intermittently showing up as WWE Commissioner or as a special guest referee, while also running his own training academy in Texas. The 4 years he was out of the ring also saw him battle addiction and alienate some of his co-workers and close friends due to his erratic behavior. Fortunately, Michaels came out of it on the other side, straightening himself out and recovering enough physically to the point that WWE greenlit his in-ring return. The natural opponent was former D-Generation X running buddy Triple H, who, in HBK's absence, had ascended to the top of the industry. The non-sanctioned bout went down at SummerSlam, the showstopper stealing the show with a blistering performance that wouldn't have looked out of place during his prime. It was gutsy, it was dramatic, and it was the start of a second spell that saw Michaels establish himself as one of the greatest of all time. And he did it all in a pair of jeans and cowboy boots. What a legend.